they say, send your resume to this PO box, and you have no idea who the company is, much about the job or anything, because we're not going to be able to verify that. Any job interview you get, that's a rock solid contact. Okay? You know, if you go to an employer and inquire about a job, that's a contact. But you want to document who you spoke with, where you went. Okay, well, like you said, a lot of jobs now are over the internet. And as long as they're potentially verifiable, that's fine.
So this morning, if I send an email and I got a response back, I can document, that's my documentation.
You know the company you're dealing with, you have a contact person there, the way you find it. If you reach them, yes, that's a job.
I have a question. Suppose you were forced into retirement from a job and then you were working on another job and you were laid off from that job. Can you file unemployment?
Always follow employment. If you're separated from employment, you can always follow.
Even if you're,
There may be issues.
but you're drawing that retirement check from the other company?
Right. There's a lot of discussion today about the base period. When you file that claim, we're going to establish a base period. Okay? And in that base period, all your earnings from your employers are going to be shown. And it's going to establish a benefit amount. Now, if that employer that you're retired from and you're receiving a pension from is in that base period, then that pension is going to be deducted. But if it was 3 years ago, outside of the base period, it's not deducted.
I'm sorry, I have one more question. If you're working for a company and you're involved in an acquisition,
Okay.
and you're going to know probably by September 15th if you have the job or not, and how long they expect you to work. But if officially my last day is December 31st, I can still go ahead and file my claim, even though I'm going to get the severance.
You're still in the books till the 31st of December.
Okay.
But physically, you're gone until September 15th.
Okay.
File your claim first day after your last physical day of work. Let us know.
Oh, after the last physical.
The last physical day.
Okay, so, all right.
Because you're still employed up until you're no longer going in through that door every day.
Okay.
Okay. And then if there are issues such as severance that will delay your eligibility, let us make that determination.
Okay. Okay.
Which leads to an interesting little wrinkle in the law, which we didn't cover, but it's an interesting little wrinkle. Let's say you give 2 weeks notice and leave your job as totally voluntary. And then, like 2 days later, you're discharged. You leave, you're out the door that day, and you file for unemployment compensation. You can get unemployment compensation assuming the discharge was for reasons other than work-related misconduct, but for a maximum of 2 weeks.
2 payable weeks.
2 payable
And
weeks.
then we have to look at the original reason why you resigned in the first place. So if you resign, okay, and the employer says, thank you, but no thanks, I don't want to, you're not going to work your notice, I'm not paying you for your notice, well, we're going to look at that as a discharge, okay? And we're going to say, you know, if you resign and then you slug your boss, that's misconduct. Exactly. You're going to be denied.
Right.
Okay, but if you submit your notice and they say, well, once you work your notice, we're going to let you go as of this day, they're going to tell us you quit, but and the facts will bear out that you submitted notice, a 2-week notice, they let you go right away, then they're the moving party initially, okay, because they let you go prior to the end of your notice, and we're going to look at misconduct. Was there misconduct? And if there's not, we're going to say you're qualified. This regulation says that in that scenario, you can receive 2 weeks, which is generally not covered in the notice period, okay, which we would normally work to get paid for. But after that 2 week, first 2 payable weeks, or they're going to look at the original reason why you resigned and issue another determination under the good cause standard. Okay, so there's misconduct, if they don't let you work your notice, and if there's no misconduct, you draw 2 weeks, and then we're going to look at issue another decision to say whether or not you had good cause to leave in the first place. If you did, you continue to receive benefits. If you didn't, no benefits after the second payable week.
One last really simple question. Define suitable.
That's always fun. Suitable work is a job that you have the knowledge, skills, and abilities to perform that's consistent with your education or work experience. Okay. Now, earlier it was said that you have to take a minimum wage paying job. I disagree. Yeah.
You're witness.
Because I mean, we're going to look at, you know, if you were a project manager for 15 years, okay, and you know, most likely you're going to be applying for work consistent with that skill set, okay? And again, as mentioned earlier, you wouldn't necessarily want to apply for a job that you're really not interested in, okay? So you wouldn't hopefully be applying for the job at the convenience store if that's not the job you really want, okay? But let's say some weird scenario, you didn't necessarily apply, but through a casual conversation, owner of a convenience store says, hey, you're unemployed, I got a job for you, pays minimum wage, come to work with me. I've been a project manager for X number of years, I'm earning this wage, no thank you. We're going to look at that and say, is that job consistent with your work history, your education level, and what you're qualified to do? And a job paying minimum wage, if you're a project manager, we're going to say, no, that's not suitable employment. Now, if you take that job and you continue to look for full-time work, you can continue to make your claim as long as you're reporting that gross income each week. We're going to deduct everything over $50 from your weekly benefit amount and give you that for unemployment. Any amount that we deduct out is left in your overall balance, so it will extend your claim that much longer. But, you know, what we're going to look for now, if you've been in a job as a project manager for 20 years and you've worked up the pay scale to a certain level and you're out of work and now you're looking for project management jobs, but hey, I'm only taking a job that paid me what I came out as. Well, we're going to look at the labor market and what the prevailing wages for that occupation in the labor market is. And if it's within the prevailing wage, the offer, we're going to say sue and deny your claim if you refuse.
The case to look at. Go to the law library, maybe you can apply online just by Googling. Johnson versus Virginia Employment Commission. Virginia, 8 Virginia Appeals 441, a 1989 case. Generally, suitability entails an evaluation limited to the nature and characteristics of the job in relation to the skills, training, and experience of the particular employee and the length of unemployment. When an employee with special skills and training has become unemployed, he or she will not be deprived of unemployment compensation benefits because of an offer of employment which would not be reasonably acceptable to an employee with that same background. That's the law. Infinite variations on that, but that's the general statement.
But be careful, right? So wherever you get into gray area, there's a possibility things may go your way or they may not. Okay? So I'd be careful. I think expansively and be thinking about the economy and thinking about the fact that people are going to be employed for longer these days than they would have been a couple of years ago.
I have 2 questions.
Sure.
First, what is your name and what role do you play in these?
I'm sorry to introduce myself.
No.
My name is Bill Walton, and I'm a Workforce Services Manager for the Virginia Employment Commission. I manage the office in Mechanicsville and all satellite representation that we have in the greater Richmond area.
And my second question, this has been a very informative conference, whatever you want to call it, and thank you. Will you be having more of these? Because within my company, I'm almost sure there's going to be some other layoffs, and I will refer some other people to this.
Well, that's definitely an option. We wanted to see what type of turnout we received here, but with good feedback, we can put these on again here in Richmond or travel to other parts of Virginia, because right now we know that it's pretty bad out there. People just have a lot of questions. So.
And Kevin is back there videoing this.
Yes.
So that is a possibility.
Might be
Also,
on
yeah,
YouTube.
no, we may become the traveling roadshow here.
Okay, so
Can I
this is your
say
first
one?
one?
Yes.
Can I say one other thing? When you file a claim, you're going to be inundated with paperwork from us. Okay? Please read everything we send you. Your monetary is important. That was discussed earlier. If there are wages missing, you don't necessarily have to file the appeal to get that corrected. Because when you file the appeal, they're just going to send it back to the local office and do an investigation. Where if you know wages are missing, you show up in my office with your W-2, we're going to do it right there. And we'll give you a copy of what we call a recheck. Okay? That will save you 2 months of the appeal process of adding or correcting that monetary. You certainly have a right to appeal, but if you know it's wrong, you have the document, the wait proof, show up in the office, and we'll start it that day. We don't have to wait for the appeal to come back, say, local office, do a recheck.
And when the notice says your appeal rights are explained on the reverse side, please read the reverse side. Or when they say your right to take part in the appeals exam you're hearing by telephone is explained on the reverse side,